tip off this new NBA season, let's talk a little about the history of the defending champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Before OKC got the Thunder, they had been wanting for years to be taken seriously as a big market city, and nothing was going to do that more than getting a professional sports franchise. In 2002, Oklahoma City built an NBA caliber arena, even though they didn't have a team. 3 years later, Hurricane Katrina, the deadliest and most costly natural disaster in United States history, absolutely ravaged New Orleans. The least of New Orleans' concerns was that their basketball team couldn't play anymore. So for 2005, they played some of their games in Oklahoma City. The Oklahoma Hornets consistently drew large crowds and proved that OKC could be a viable NBA market. An OKC-based investment group called Professional Basketball Club LLC, led by this guy, Clay Bennett, actually tried to buy the Hornets to move them to OKC permanently. Lucky for New Orleans fans, New Orleans ownership refused to sell or move the team. Jumping from the Gulf to the Pacific, the Seattle Supersonics had only ever played in Seattle their entire history since 1967. At the time, they were owned by Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks. Schultz claimed the team was consistently losing money. The only way to fix it would be to expand their stadium, Key Arena, which would require at least $220 million. Schultz felt entitled to that upgrade since the city had just built a new stadium for both the Seahawks and the Mariners after the destruction of the Kingdome, but the same privilege was not granted to the Supersonics. Now, typically, I don't believe owners when they say they're losing money because if they were losing that much money, they would simply sell the team. However, that's exactly what Howard Schultz did, and in 2006, he sold the Supersonics. So this time, it seems like they were actually losing money. Schultz looked at several options, but decided to pick Professional Basketball Club LLC and Clay Bennett, as they seemed the least likely to move the team out of Seattle, even though they had just tried to move the Hornets to OKC. Bennett actually agreed to sign a contract with Schultz, saying that he would work in good faith to get the stadium upgrades that Seattle needed so they wouldn't leave. Bennett did briefly try to get Seattle a new stadium built out in the suburbs of Seattle, but that fell through, and less than 1 year later in 2007, the Supersonics had announced they would be leaving to Oklahoma City. There was a last-ditch effort led by Steve Ballmer. He put up $150 million. The state just had to put up another $75 million, which they failed to do, leading to the team to leave to OKC. The league even tried to step in, but there was nothing Daniel Stearns could do about it. The only two owners that voted against Seattle moving to OKC were their longtime regional rivals in Portland and the Dallas Mavericks, who wanted to keep Oklahoma as their market. But Seattle was not ready to give up on their Sonics. The city actually sued Bennett, claiming he broke his lease with Key Arena, which went through 2010. During this investigation, investigators found many emails from Bennett that outright stated his original intent was to move the team to OKC from the get-go. It seemed a pretty open and shut case for the city of Seattle, but on the day the judge was set to make their ruling, the city settled with Bennett for $75 million. And the city didn't even uphold their end of the settlement, meaning they only got 45 of those $75 million. Schultz also sued Bennett for breaking his good faith contract they had together, but that lawsuit was ultimately dropped when it was realized to be unwinnable. And thus the Oklahoma City Thunder were born. But Seattle did eventually get that stadium upgrade in 2018. Seattle started a $1.15 billion upgrade to Key Arena, now called Climate Pledge Arena. That entire upgrade was privately funded. Nice. And while the NBA has showed interest in coming back to Seattle and recreating the Supersonics, it's unknown if or when that will ever happen. I think we can all agree that one day we'd like to see the Supersonics take on the Oklahoma City Thunder in Seattle.